Hi, it's Hans at happierman.com. Today's topic is why men go broke, part 3. Well, part 1 I talked about the first reason was your income is not large enough. Part 2 was your expenses are out of balance with your income. And now part 3, which I think is probably one of the most common reasons for men going broke, is you've got yourself in a situation where you're paying most of your money to other people. Okay, and I don't mean the government, Uncle Sam, or whatever country, whatever uncle your government is referred to. It's the people around you, right? You're paying for a wife, you're paying for children, you're paying for your parents, you're paying for siblings, you're paying for friends, you're paying for, charities or things that you have strong causes. You see, a lot of men, you have big hearts, you build yourself up to have a great income, and with that income, and you're competent, and you're responsible, and you're a good, decent man, at that point in your life, you feel the need to pay for other people, to take care of people too much in a way that throws you way out of balance, right? So the classic example of that is you get married and your spouse is your wife is either a non-working spouse, or you have a lot of younger children that doesn't allow her to work, or she's very low income even if she does work. Okay, like in the part 1 I talked about doubling the minimum wage. Well, if you're making a lot of money and your spouse is making minimum wage, that would be that will tend to throw you off, right? Her low income is going to drag you down. You would want her to be choosing a spouse that can make a larger income, that's going to help her pay her own way. You thinking you can pay for a non-working spouse, or a spouse who is underemployed, meaning not working very much or working at a very low wage, is going to be a disaster for you. It truly is. I wish people would have told me this before I did this mistake myself, right? Because that's why I'm talking about it. I went through this big mistake of making an assumption on how me and my wife would be working and how would we be helping each other. That was a big mistake on my part. That I thought she would be able to work and contribute, and that turned out to be false. So this income of your wife is extremely critical for you as a man and your happiness. And there's no real way in the modern age for you to lay down the law with your wife about how much you're going to spend. She's going to spend. The world is set up for ladies to spend the things that ladies like are so prevalent and so advertised and so out there that you're not going to have any success in convincing her not to buy those things. She's going to want a nice big house in a nice safe area. She's going to want that house fully furnished with all the modern stuff. She's going to want it, let's say, even over furnished with nice things. It's going to be a rare lady who is going to be financially frugal. Now there are some. I said it was rare. There are some. I'm just saying, in general, I don't see any evidence that there's a lot. It's more likely that the ladies that you're interested in marrying are going to be the typical ladies who spend a lot of money looking good and being up on all the latest, and that's what makes them, the feminine and the nice and the attractive and the cool to be with and fun to hang around with and roll around in bed with. Okay, so all of that is fine. All of the spending money and having a good time with it, that's all fine, as long as this lady that you're married to is helping to contribute to the family finances in the form of a good job with quality of life benefits and a good income. She may not make as much money as you do. That's fine. As long as the money she's making is significant enough to kind of help. And one of the biggest things about this, your wife working, is if she's working, she's going to be spending a lot of her time working, not shopping. I'm sorry, ladies. I hate to disparage this, but you know that it's true. And certainly shopping and getting the nice things, that's part of life. I like to shop too. I like to get nice stuff for myself. I like to spend some time looking for bargains and making upgrades. It's just that if you're over shopping in relationship to the money you have, there's no way to keep in balance and to build a long-term future. So this is for the men, you as a man need your wife to be a working wife. You may allow her a brief time at home while she's taking care of your babies, okay? The babies that you do create. You're going to want her to be home taking care of those babies. That's good. That's fine. I just think, that there will come a time where the baby isn't a baby anymore, and at that point, you've got to be having her get back to work. And I was never able to do this with my wife. And as I lay out in my book, Leave Your Wife and Become a Happier Man, the 3-step system, whenever available on the allhappierman.com website, whenever I would start to talk about her going back to work, she would just fly into a rage, not wanting to, giving me all kinds of grief, totally unrelated to my request, because every time she did work, even a little bit, it made a massive difference, made a massive difference in the quality of our life and the ability to pay bills and try to get a little bit ahead. But the time she worked was kind of few and far between, and that time, I could not make enough money to overcome this problem. So I guess if it were me, as soon as my wife refused to go to work, I would be at my divorce attorney's office. You've got no chance to have a good life unless you're making a lot of money. Okay, if you're making, $200,000, $300,000 a year, yeah, you probably can get by with a non-working wife. But are you? Truthfully, probably not. So give that, this taking care of other people is very, very, very difficult. You want to think in terms of taking care of yourself well, and then adding in, getting yourself to the point where you're taking care of yourself very well, and then you add in your wife, and and then you add in some children, and the taking care of them and adding, should not be this tremendous burden on you. It should be just a thing that you can easily work into your financial plan. So yeah, this is really a tough topic. I know. And I would say that a lot of ladies are doing a fantastic job, doing great work. I've worked with a lot of great ladies over the years, and it's impressive. They make good money. They enjoy a great respect and prestige in the jobs they have. They do wonderful jobs, and that's the kind of lady you want as a wife. That she's making good money, and she's got quality of life benefits, and she's building a future for herself. Because truthfully, you've got to think in terms of this what if you die? This lady has got to take care of your children, right? So if you are involved with a lady who has no ability to make a great income, what happens if you die and she's got to raise these children by herself, right? You're doing your children a massive disservice by making the poor choice in a lady to marry. And I'm talking to myself because I did this. Now, luckily, I stayed alive to raise the kids, right? But let's say I died and my wife isn't working, and I had life insurance, but unless you've got like a $10 million life insurance, she's not going to be able to overcome your dying, right? So it's for the good of your children, the lady you marry. She's got to be working at a decent job, and she's got to be the type of lady that another guy would want to marry and raise your kid, help her raise your kids. Okay, so that was a huge mistake on my part, and luckily it worked out. I stayed alive to be able to raise the kids, but that's on you guys. You've got to think about things like this. You need a wife, a woman who could handle things if you're not there. Some ladies just kind of fall apart if they don't have the husband kind of picking up all the pieces, and you don't want that. You need her to be able to pull her own weight. Okay. The other part about taking care of other people is the number of people, meaning that there's a cap on the number of children you can have and expect to be able to take care of them well. It looks to me like the cap is about 1 or 2 children. More than 2, it doesn't look like most men in the modern world are able to take care of more than that very well. That third child is enough to push you right off the edge into being broke. And I know this is tough to hear because probably lots of us are part of a 3-child family. You might be a third child yourself. You might have 3 children already. You might see lots of families with 3, but it's very, very difficult to manage more than 2 kids. It just is. There's no cost savings with more. It's more like a cost. Road is rough here. There's more like a cost multiplying. Like it's almost as if the one costs X, the 2 cost 2 times X plus a little more, and then that third one is going to be 3 times X, and then even a little more than that. So those extra children are as wonderful as children are, and as wonderful as you love having them and caring for them, your ability, your financial ability to take care of them just kind of is not going to be there. And then the problem with the more children is, in order to make enough money to overcome the paying for them, you've got to be in these really high paying jobs. So yeah, the men who are very well off with the high paying jobs, yeah, they can take care of lots of kids. It's not that big of a deal for them. It's just that financially, it's just that the time, those high paying jobs require more time and effort, and then the more time and effort, that's more time and effort away from the children. So you've got money to take care of them, but you have no time for them, right? You don't have the time. So I would give that some serious thought. And the other part with other, besides the children, is sometimes as your children get older, you feel the need to keep taking care of them even as they're getting older. So you have to keep working your payments to them out, and then at some point your financial contribution to your children needs to be zero for long periods of time. And that doesn't mean you can't give them some significant gifts from time to time when they're adults. That doesn't mean you can't lend them a hand. That doesn't mean you can't buy them dinner or help pay for a vacation. But if you're paying some of their normal bills for years on end, once they're adults, you're not, it's going to be very, very difficult to overcome that. Your, let's say, job to raise them is to raise them to be independent of you. Okay? That's critical. You want them to be independent of you. You don't want them relying on you paying this bill or paying that bill or picking up that or tab, or you want them to be independent. And it's very difficult because everything in the world is set up to try to extract money from you, the working dad, for as long as possible. All these various plans, insurance, cell phones, these recurring expenses are just meant to trap you in continual payments that you just don't want to make, because when your kids are adults, you don't want to have to be giving them a bunch of money. You don't want to be paying their bills or writing checks for them and having them rely on you. It's not fair to them. As much as you'd like to just take care of them even as they're adults, it isn't fair to them. At any moment you can kick the bucket, and then where are they? They need to be independent. So and they're gonna rebel a little bit against this. They're gonna say, what's the big deal, Dad? You make a lot of money. Why don't you just pay this $30 a month payment for me? They're gonna rebel. They're gonna kind of kick and scream a little bit, not wanting to. They still want to stay children, but it's your job as a parent, as a dad, to get them grown up and responsible for all their necessities. And you can I don't see anything wrong with you helping them from time to time to help better their life throughout their life. It's just this, what I think the main problem is this recurring thing where you're kind of paying this little bill or a bunch of little bills every month, and it's making them have a false sense of security that they really, that is kind of driving your life down a little bit, and it isn't helping them get to that full adulthood that's very, very necessary. Other adults that, other people you may pay for, you may be paying for siblings or your parents. Yeah, this is really tough. It's really tough, and for a variety of reasons that all may be necessary. Your sibling just may need you, and I get that. I hear that. Your parents may have gone through some enormous tough times, and they may need you to help. Well, I'm just saying that that's a way that you can go broke, is by paying too much to other people. So give that idea some thought. All for now.